Hello everyone, our topic this week was requested by pop_moo22. We'll be going over Raiden from the Mortal Kombat series.
Okay, so the first two things you need to know for our purposes are 1. What Mortal Kombat is, and 2. That there was sort of a reboot of the MK timeline in 2011's Mortal Kombat, hereafter referred to as Mortal Kombat 9 or MK9. Which Raiden was at the center of, and which is apparently canonical in-universe rather than simply being another example of a developer wiping the slate clean to tell new stories.
So, first up, the Mortal Kombat series centers around the events of an interdimensional tournament that is itself called Mortal Kombat, hence the series name. In the MK universe, reality is split into numerous distinct worlds called realms, with our world of Earth being called simply Earthrealm. With fantastical applications of power, it is possible to merge one or more realms together, smushing them into one homogeneous reality. Expanding potential resources, manpower, knowledge, etc., assuming that these separate cultures acclimate instead of destroying one another. Practically speaking, the only culture that tries to merge realms on anything vaguely resembling a regular basis are the people of Outworld, who are the MK universe's resident conquerors, merging realms and then subjugating the new population under their rule. However, in the interest of balance and order, a collection of nigh all-powerful beings known as the Elder Gods, who are literally the only examples of Elder Gods we have ever seen that aren't a collection of Cthulhian crustacean monster gods, created the Mortal Kombat tournament. By their rule, a realm that wishes to invade and consume another must issue a challenge of Mortal Kombat, which the defending realm cannot refuse. Thereafter, once a generation, a single elimination tournament, meaning once you lose you're either out or, more likely, dead, is held, populated by the respective realm's mightiest champions. Once either realm has racked up 10 consecutive overall tournament wins, the victor realm is then permitted to merge with and invade the defeated realm. If merger attempts are made prior to a 10 victory count, the Elder Gods step in and violently punish the offenders, but otherwise the realms are predominantly left to themselves.
Enter Raiden. Raiden is Earthrealm's god of thunder and the world's designated protector. Since time immemorial, he has stood on the proverbial walls of Earthrealm, watching over and protecting its inhabitants from forces that would do them harm. It is always he who rallies Earth's defenders for the Mortal Kombat tournament. He who selects fighters from around the world and convinces them to fight for the continued freedom and betterment of the very world itself. Pushing and encouraging the world's defenders to help protect the world, become stronger, but also be better as people. He is strategic and ruthless in pursuit of his world's protection and safety, but given the option, almost always prefers the softer touch. At least with beings from his own realm. But though he prefers to work behind the scenes and influence rather than act whenever possible, when push comes to shove, Raiden can throw down with the best of them, and has been for millennia. Generally speaking, as a god, he is effectively immortal. However, by decree of the Elder Gods, any god of any realm, yes, most if not all realms have them, must assume a mortal form if they are to participate directly in the Mortal Kombat tournament. But all this really means is that Raiden's body can be harmed and slain. 1, if given a chance and enough time, his essence will reform and he'll be born again. But 2, and more importantly, though his body is technically destructible, Raiden still maintains all of his considerable power as the god of thunder. He commands the power of lightning, able to generate it, call upon it from the world around him, and manipulate it in numerous, sometimes science-breaking ways. He can transform his body into raw energy, enabling him to teleport across small distances, and even between realms. He's ageless, usually immortal, and even if you take away all of his godly powers, Raiden is a master of over 600 martial arts, with literal millennia of combat experience. His only real weakness is that, like all gods except the Elder Gods, his power wanes when traveling to other realms. But even so, those powers are restored upon returning to Earthrealm.
Raiden, being the mostly immortal god protector of Earthrealm, has a personal story that stretches way back to when the world was young. Millennia ago, one of the Elder Gods by the name of Shinnok went rogue, turning his back on the values of his fellows, and, as part of this process, set his sights upon Earthrealm, which is considered prime cosmic real estate, which is one of the many reasons it is so often under siege. Shinnok and Raiden fought, and as theirs was a battle between two unbridled, unfettered gods, the conflict nearly destroyed the planet, and actually did nearly wipe out Earth's oldest sapient race, lizard creatures simply called Saurians, that then elected to move to another realm after the incident, leaving man as the dominant race in the world. Despite this loss of his charges, with the aid of the other Elder Gods, Raiden was able to defeat Shinnok. However, as an Elder God, Shinnok was truly immortal. He cannot be slain. At all. So instead they banished him to the Netherrealm, basically Hell, and took his amulet, a powerful weapon that acted in many ways as the source or focus for Shinnok's power, which Raiden then secreted away.
Flash forward to the time of the games, and Raiden is next encountered after the first Sub-Zero, there have been 2 of them, manages to steal said amulet for Quan Chi, an evil sorcerer who resides in the Netherrealm and works for Shinnok. Shinnok is essentially the overarching bad guy for the MK series. He doesn't appear in every game, but he is almost always the big bad guy whenever he does show up. Quan Chi had paid Sub-Zero's ninja clan for the service, but hadn't told them much about the amulet or his plans. So, when Raiden explained the dire consequences that could come from reuniting Shinnok with his amulet, namely allowing him to break free and wreak havoc on the Earthrealm again, Sub-Zero agreed to go to the Netherrealm and retrieve the amulet on Raiden's behalf, since leaving Earthrealm royally neuters Raiden's powers. As a side note, they do seem to retcon the degree of the power nerf for leaving his world later, but regardless, Sub-Zero succeeds, returns with the amulet, and the crisis is averted.
Raiden's next appearance is actually during the events of the first Mortal Kombat game. By that time, Outworld had won 9 consecutive victories in the generational Mortal Kombat tournament, meaning that the tournament of the game was the make-or-break moment for Earth. Failure would mean that Outworld could invade Earth without any repercussions. So, Raiden doubled down on finding great warriors and also assumed a mortal form to join in the tournament himself. They proved victorious, saving Earthrealm from merger with Outworld, at least for the time being. The following games would see similar patterns, with Raiden fighting alongside, guiding, and/or protecting his champions from cheaty shenanigans along the way. Until, a few tournaments in, Shinnok made a surprise appearance, assaulting the other gods, before ultimately being defeated and banished once again. For his pivotal role in all of these events, Raiden was then made an Elder God himself, and he installed the Wind God, Fujin, as Earth's protector in his stead.
However, as an Elder God, though Raiden had tremendous power, he was bound by the same laws as the other Elder Gods, meaning he couldn't interfere in mortal affairs. So, years later, when forces of evil conspired on a scale hitherto unseen and Earthrealm was threatened in ways Raiden felt fell under the Elder Gods' purview, he petitioned his fellow Elder Gods to allow him to intercede. When they refused, he renounced his status as an Elder God, returning to merely being the Thunder God. Merely. So that he could aid the people of Earth. Things took such a poor turn that he ended up spending all of his godly power in a deific nuclear blast that wiped out just about everything except Onaga, the immortal dragon monster he'd been trying to kill, including Raiden himself. Fortunately, their foe was defeated without Raiden, and Raiden, being a god, reformed back on Earth. However, some combination of the horrible events that had transpired, and quite possibly corruption by having his raw essence come into contact with Onaga, left Raiden a changed god upon his reformation. Rather than being benevolent, at best he was convinced of his own superiority, at worst, he'd turned downright evil. I mean, at this point he's actually referred to as Dark Raiden. He would protect Earthrealm his way, and no one, not even the residents of Earthrealm, would be allowed to deny his plans. They would work for him when he called, no more begging, convincing, or bribing, and if any mortal fool started to cause problems like this again, Onaga was brought to life by a human who was duped into making it happen, Raiden would put that mortal out of his misery before he could cause such destruction again.
Using magics borrowed from evil necromancers Raiden himself had destroyed centuries prior, he revived one of his fallen comrades as extra muscle and then went to work. And at this point, Shinnok contacted him, sensing a change in Raiden's demeanor, and offered to work with him to protect Earthrealm, so long as Raiden did something for him. The God of Thunder suspected some form of treachery but ultimately agreed, which eventually led to the Battle of Armageddon, which culminated in just about everyone, both good and evil, dying while competing for the power of the Blaze, which would basically make whoever obtained it the most powerful being in creation. The final combatants in this war ended up being Raiden and the Lord of Outworld, Shao Kahn. But Shao Kahn ended up acquiring the Blaze's power, meaning that Raiden was no match for him. So as Shao Kahn gloated and beat him to death, Raiden used his magical amulet to send a message and some unclear visions back to his younger self. The younger self back during the Mortal Kombat tournament from the very first game. The only clear piece of that vision being the phrase, "He must win."
And this is where we hit our in-game canonical timeline reset. In Mortal Kombat 9, released in 2011, the Raiden from the first game's Mortal Kombat tournament receives the groggy vision from his future dying self. However, this forewarned incarnation of the God of Thunder seems to lack much of the wisdom for which he was generally known, as he first dismisses the vision as nothing, but as time goes on, events occur and his visions coalesce. He realizes that some kind of impending doom will be on the horizon if they don't change things. However, every time he tries, Raiden reads the visions wrong and either makes things worse or doesn't prevent his horrible visions from happening in the first place. This leads to all manner of changes in the timeline, from some events happening quicker than they did originally to other events that never occurred in the first place now coming to pass, culminating, finally, in nearly all of Raiden's allies being slaughtered and Earth being invaded while the Elder Gods stand by, since apparently invasion is okay, it's just the unsanctioned world merging that they have a problem with.
In desperation, Raiden even tries to strike a deal with Quan Chi, offering his own soul and those of any of Earth's fallen protectors as payment, only to discover that Quan Chi had already stolen the souls of his fallen allies, leaving Raiden nothing to barter with. The only plus side to that whole excursion was that Raiden finally figured out what he had to do. By this point, Outworld was attempting to merge with Earthrealm, despite the Mortal Kombat tournament not being over, and Raiden realized that if they let that happen, if they let Outworld and Earthrealm fuse without defeating Outworld's leader first, the Elder Gods would step in and remove the problem for them, destroying Shao Kahn, Outworld's ruler, for good. However, by this time, Raiden had lost the faith of some of his allies, and they, understandably, thought his plan was outright crazy. So he was forced to try and subdue one of them, and in the process, killed Liu Kang, one of Earthrealm's mightiest warriors. Even so, his plan worked. They allowed the worlds to merge, and the Elder Gods came down, slew Shao Kahn, and disconnected their realms. Nearly all of Earth's greatest warriors died, at least one city and thousands of people did too, but the world, at large, was safe. And Raiden received confirmation that his future visions would no longer come to pass.
But not all was well. Shinnok, still hanging out in the Nether Realm since the events that trapped him there occurred long before the first Mortal Kombat games tournament, had been watching. In fact, he planned at least some of the shenanigans that transpired in MK9. So when Mortal Kombat X or 10 or whatever you want to call it rolled around, Shinnok struck. The forces of both Outworld and Earthrealm were weakened tremendously by the events of MK9, and with his amulet returned, Shinnok took the opportunity to break free of his imprisonment and assault Earthrealm. His primary target was a room in Raiden's temple called the Jinsei Chambers, a room that essentially held the heart of the world. Shinnok knew that if he could reach this energy, he could corrupt it, thereby corrupting all of Earthrealm, and then his battle would be half won. Raiden attempted to stop Shinnok, but was unable to do so alone. Fortunately, one of Earth's still living heroes stopped Shinnok instead, and afterward Raiden bound Shinnok in his own amulet and hid it away.
A space of 25 years takes place between that event and the rest of MK10, a space which is filled with comics that are considered mostly canon, at least insofar as they don't directly clash with the games, but for the purposes of Raiden's story, the comics can be summed up with the following. He keeps being foolish, lets himself get cursed, murders or maims a bunch of people, good and bad, in the process, feels bad about it later, and learns that, hey, keeping secrets about powerful quasi-cursed items has never worked for anyone in any fiction, ever. By the time we get back to the events of MK10, Raiden hears rumors that one of the factions in a civil war in Outworld, remember Outworld's millennia-long leader died comparatively recently, is using Shinnok's amulet as a weapon, and when Raiden goes to check on its hiding place, he finds a fake. While stewing over this and trying to figure out what to do, events move so quickly around him that Raiden is caught by surprise when Shinnok himself shows up on his temple doorstep, once again gunning for the Jinsei Chambers and the lifeblood of the world. This time round, Shinnok defeats Raiden, his allies, and taints the well before being defeated once again. In the aftermath, Raiden is placed in the pool and enacts a ritual to purify it, taking power away from him during the process.
The world is purified, the day is saved, and all is well, for everyone left except for Raiden. In the wake of his near-death experience, the power touch with Shinnok, and more than likely due at least in part to the fact that Raiden has taken to wearing Shinnok's amulet, Raiden has gone all Dark Raiden again. Vowing to be more proactive in his defense of Earthrealm, he lops off Shinnok's head, which continues to live and function, at least a little, because remember, Raiden can't actually kill him, then delivers the severed head to the new rulers of the Netherrealm, the corrupted, fallen remains of his dead friends, along with a warning that any attacks on Earthrealm will not be met with the same kindness he had been paying their enemies in the past. Which brings us finally to Mortal Kombat 11, which comes out later this year. We don't know exactly what will happen, except that the game will involve a lot more time manipulation, as the game's lead antagonist appears to be a god of time who seems to be somewhat miffed about all of the shenanigans, temporal and otherwise, that have been going on in Earthrealm recently. But one thing we're betting you can count on is angsty Raiden going all full angry God of Thunder mode once the game drops.
And that's basically the story of Raiden, Mortal Kombat's God of Thunder. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave us a like, and if you have ideas for more videos you'd like to see us do in the future, do like pop_moo22 and let us know in the comments down below. If you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, be they lore or let's play, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Meantime, this has been True Masters and Morons, signing off. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like it, hit this subscribe orb.
To see our last Let's Play, click or tap the link on the right.
For our last lore video, go to the link on the left.
And for a video chosen by the gods of YouTube from our channel, hit that link on top.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.